Hello, Renee Flamond here. When it comes to this topic of settling, it's very, very dangerous because it can sneak up on you. And before you even realize it, you've settled, you're settling, you've settled, and now here you sit. And you ask yourself, or you say to yourself, this isn't really the ending I had in mind. This is not what I had in mind. I held out for this? This is what I held out for. Are you kidding me? There's gotta be more. Yet we stay there. How we end up settling, I think, is there's a few different things at work. Many times when someone settles for someone or something that seems less than what they deserve to anybody else, it's because they feel that's all they deserve. Whether it's something on the forefront of their mind, whether it's inherently inside and they have work to do in the department of self-esteem. There's oftentimes a hole in the armor, we've talked about that, of the self-esteem or the self-worth or the self-love. And the person settling has to conquer that, right? But they take what they think they can deserve or what they think they can get. They may not even know they settled, or they may know they settled. And we've talked a lot about that. But aside from the self-esteem, self-love, self-worth department, I think there's another way that we fall into settling without realizing it. And it's little by little by little over time. Let me explain. Okay, so you hold out to date someone, you hold out, you think you're gonna wait until you meet somebody just right, okay? You get it, or you think you do. You date it, I'm saying it, him or her. You get disappointed, you get frustrated. But we oftentimes, because we've gone through all the work and we've gone through the holding out and we thought we arrived at something and we dated and it seemed okay, we recalculate our expectations and readjust our list of things that we want in a relationship, need in a relationship, won't have in a relationship, won't tolerate in a relationship. Maybe you put the bar a little lower for the next time. We'd be so appreciative if he just wasn't a two-timer. Oh, I would take old boring Charlie at this point. As long as it doesn't hit me. If he's honest, that's all I need. I mean, we go through it. Don't tell me you haven't. We've all done it. I think it's automatic. But you know, with the if he's honest, that's all I need. As long as he doesn't hit me, that'll be great. I'd take old boring Charlie. That's it, right there, you see? That's how we adjust our bar. Your list had on it, for example, say, true sensual passion. But you had it with the narcissist, maybe. He faltered in every way possible, and now you're willing to go without the sensual passion as long as the new guy is honest. How about both? How about both? You still want both. You can still hold on to the same bar. I think I kept lowering mine with each thing that I encountered in the 16 years of being divorced and dating. I think I kept lowering it until I finally landed on garbage, picked garbage, dated garbage. And you know, we need to keep our standards in check. We need to. And we have to remember always what's important to us. Spend the time and decide what your boundaries are, your deal breakers. Yours. Ours are all gonna differ. I know somebody for whom smoking cigarettes is a deal breaker. Deal breaker if they smoke cigarettes. But it isn't for me. I've dated people that smoke cigarettes, and I've never been a cigarette smoker. Sidebar, really, really funny story. This may be why I'm not a non-smoker, I don't know. When I was really little, 4 or 5 years old, I remember saying to my mother, "What are those long white sticks?" that you suck on. And my mother's kind of, she's old school. She's a tough, she goes like this. I'll never forget it. She goes, here, suck real hard. I coughed for 2 hours. And I was retelling the story as an adult, and I was making room for the exaggeration of a 4 or 5 year old mind. And so I said it probably wasn't 2 hours. It probably was more like 10 minutes. My sibling piped up and goes, no, it was 2 hours. It was forever. Okay, so maybe that's why I don't smoke. But the point is, but it's still not a deal breaker for me. Don't blow it in my face. Don't blow it in my daughter's face. Don't smoke in my home, but I'm not their mother. If they want to smoke cigarettes, that's up to them, right? And the person that I know for whom it's a deal breaker, they're like, but can't you not stand the smell? And I'm like, look, I'm not, kissing someone while they're smoking a cigarette, but I don't know, it's just not a deal breaker for me, whatever the reason is. But yours are yours, and you have to come up with those, okay? You have to come up with those. Your list of things that you don't want and do want, that you need and can't have, would love to have, cannot do without, cannot live with, cannot live without. This list is yours and yours alone. You don't have to explain it to anybody. You don't have to justify it. It's your true list. Look at it genuinely. And if you look, you know what, God, I got a lot of things that I wouldn't deal with. Well, maybe I'll deal with that. Maybe I'll shorten my list. That's okay. You want to curb things a little bit. But if something, just because of you find your list is just like it seems unreasonable to you, that there's room for that. But if there's a hard, like the narcissist that I dated had 18.25 things right off the bat that I knew in date one that were completely on my list of, I will never date somebody who's that. I will never date somebody who's that. I need this, I want that. Right off the bat. He was a nomad. That's a deal breaker for me. You have to have a place of residence, a solid place. You're a grown man, you should have a solid place, not bouncing around. I don't care why. I don't care the reason why. I don't care. We're not talking about a few months here. We're talking about it was a few years. You're just bouncing around, living with different people. What are you, a frat boy? That's a deal breaker for me. Ignored it. Turns out there were a lot of big, huge, negative reasons that were on my mind when I put it on my list that he had. And if I just went by my list and didn't settle and didn't break a boundary that I had already set for myself, I wouldn't have dated him. Wouldn't have dated him. But I settled. I was like, oh, well, he has this, but... oh, well, he doesn't have that, but... oh, well, all right, I'll just overlook it. He'll get it someday. He'll get it together. His personality will change. I'm telling you what, it is a huge thing. Go through it all. Think it through to the nth degree. And if you put something on a deal breaker list, listen to that. You put it there for a reason. Maybe for many reasons. Maybe you've already dated somebody XYZ and you're like, I'll never do that again. And I'm not saying that you should take an attribute of a person and because they're this way, put it on another person and think that they're going to be that way. I know that made no sense, but I know you know what I mean. You can't do that. There's room, okay? But you put it there for a reason. And like I said, my cat had several deal breakers of mine and I dated him anyway. Now, being a narcissist wasn't on my list because I didn't know about it then. It is now. It is now. And you say, well, why did you date him anyway? Why? Because I figured it had to be better than the last guy. Kind of. Like, I think. Or he's what's in front of me. This seems to be a good thing going. I don't know. Because during love bombing, it does feel like it's a good thing going. They get you thinking that way. They get you thinking that the feeling that you have surpasses any list you had. And I don't mean he's so cute, he's so smart. I mean, those things are very, very, they would be fantastic, right? But I'm talking about your list, the integrity of a person, where you want to see them in life. We're grown people. You can have things on the list like he should have a job. I remember Oprah saying that once. Somebody was saying something about a list. This was years ago. And she goes, he has to have a job. Like that was like off the bat for her. A grown man should have a job. Okay? Be a working, productive citizen. If he's not retired. You follow me? Now I'm telling you what, I will wait. I will not break a boundary of mine that I have put firmly in place. And I hope to be relentless. I do. And no excuses. No one is squeezing through. No. Now, if I get lied to, if I get duped and somebody squeezes through, I hope the second I realize, ooh, wait a minute. I didn't know that. You didn't tell me that. That I do a 180 and go, bye-bye. It's about your boundaries. It's about your can't have, must have, won't do without list. And you have to give that some thought. And if you, like I said, make it and you're looking at it and it's realistic, that's why I said there's always room for cutting it down, meaning your list shouldn't be, you know, he's 6 foot tall, brown hair, brown eyes, and your package might come in a form that you don't even recognize. Your physical attributes that you find, you know, cute may not be at all what the guy comes in, right? I had a package come to me. I say package because it was like, you know, I feel like the universe sends you things, right? He had all the different things that I thought would be great. Ex-Marine, this, that, the other. So I was like, oh, okay, anybody that is, you know, served our country, anybody that is, I like a shorter person. I'm small, maybe that's why, and also because I come from a small family, that might be why. But I'm comfortable around that. Now, I married tall. You know, we're divorced amicably at this point. Obviously, I've told you that. But I married tall, so and it turns out I married the exact right guy. He was stellar. We had our child, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think that height should be on your list, is my point. That's a place where you can give. I just use that as a quick example. But nobody should squeeze through your boundaries that have to do with the kind of person they are, what they're contributing to the earth, how they treat you, how they treat other people. Are they a kind person? Do you know what I'm saying? If these things are on your list, you need to make sure that they have them. Otherwise, we just settle. We move forward and forward and forward, and we keep chipping off our own list, thinking, my own list is too much. Let me chip it off. Well, if you do chip off 6 feet tall if that's on your list. Chip off the color of their eyes if that's on your list. Don't chip and break on anything that means something to you, that you want to see in their human being person. No way. That's how you settle. Because you compare them to the last one. Well, if I compared anybody I date now to the last guy, he wouldn't really have to have much, would he? He would just have to be not a narcissist. That's not my list. I'm not adjusting my list down because I experienced this and now I would just settle for somebody who didn't. No way. No way. If anything, it's made me more relentless. I tightened up my list to reflect the things that have always meant something to me. And I remembered back to when I was younger. I was like, okay, what did you want? It's really very simple. My list isn't very complicated at all. And if you have found yourself chipping away at yours, don't. Or you just came off the narcissist and now you're like, ugh, who am I looking for? Well, this guy seems all right. I'll date him for a while. Is he all right? Is he? Take a look closely and think of what you have in mind that you need to see in a person. Is he good for you? She, he, she, whatever your pronoun is. Are they the kind of person you see yourself with? Do they reflect your same, you know, and I don't mean mirroring, I mean, do they genuinely reflect your moral code, your belief system, your values? There's something to be said for that, so that you have an understanding of each other inside, and you don't have to explain every little thing that means something to you, because they understand, because they have they're in line with you. That's a big one on my list. They gotta have an alignment with me, with what I think is important. It is absolutely vital you get a handle on this, because then we end up honestly, we sit there and go, honestly, this is what I held out for. This is not what I had in mind. How did I end up in this? You may be asking yourself that right now. And if you are, well, that's very telling, isn't it? If you are not sitting in your life in terms of with a partner, and you're not saying to yourself, this is everything I wanted it to be. Again, I'm not talking about perfection. There's always compromise and work to be done. We're coming at life from different angles, different upbringings. You put two people together, they're essentially strangers when they meet. You have to then figure things out, okay? But for the most part, if you see somebody in there, or you meet someone and you get to know them, and they seem to have everything that's on your list of boundaries and deal breakers and whatnots, they have and don't have things that are on it, then that might be a good candidate for you. Do not settle just because you think, well, I got to date somebody, I don't want to be alone. Be alone. That's a whole other video, and I've made videos on that. And I'm not trying to tell you, because some people can't. They want to go from one to another to another. If that's the case, then swipe left on the guy. If at dinner they tell you that they are XYZ and you think, ding, 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 that's something I said I would never do. Take smoking, for example. They're going to go outside and have a cigarette, and on your list, your deal breaker is smoking. But you think, well, he seems nice in every other way. I'll overlook it. Maybe he'll quit. True. That could be. That could be. That could be. But if your deal breaker is a smoker, then they should quit before you date them, technically. Right? Am I right? I'm just saying. Again, smoking's not on my list. But you give some thought as to what's on your list. I don't want anybody settling after what we've been through. We deserve everything. Everything! It's a topic that really gets me, and once I start to think about it, I think little by little, that's how we end up settling. It's unbeknownst to us. We don't even realize that it's happening! And then when you look back, once you exit the relationship and you look back in, I say to myself, he had a million things that were unacceptable. I just fell into it. I accepted it because the guy before him had a couple of flaws that I didn't want to deal with, and I was so happy to have met somebody who seemed charming and into me. And okay, that's pretty much what it takes sometimes if you're in a low self-love moment. Snap out of it. Let's all make a list and stick to it. Whatever yours is, it doesn't matter what it is, except, like I said, inconsequential details that don't have to do with what the universe thinks is important. I would keep off your list, because you may, like I said, you might like them tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. Your exact package of the important things might come at you with shorter brown hair, brown eyes, but you overlook it because you're holding out for this, the blonde hair, blue-eyed, tall guy. Do you follow what I'm saying? No. Put important things on your list and stay with it. And do not settle.